Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leach. On the program today, we are featuring Willie Nelson. Willie has been a guest on my show a couple of times. His first appearance was when I was doing the Time for Hemp television show, and in 1991, Willie made his appearance and spoke publicly for the first time about his support for ending hemp medical marijuana prohibition. Willie had seen my show while he was on tour in different states, and when he was in Kentucky, he spoke with a gentleman by the name of Gatewood Galbraith, who was running for governor of Kentucky. And Willie wanted to support Gatewood's effort because Gatewood was running on the hemp platform. Gatewood knew that if Kentucky were to re-legalize hemp as a farm product, as a cash crop, that Kentucky would be able to lift itself out of poverty and become one of the wealthiest states in America. And Willie understood that. And Gatewood was also a good friend of mine. He was a champion of the television series. And I met Gatewood when I was at the San Francisco Earth Day event in 1990. And Gatewood had the opportunity to work with Willie Nelson. And while he and Willie were working together, Willie happened to mention that he'd seen this funny little show called Time for Hemp that he thought it would be fun to be a guest on. And Gatewood said, well, Willie, I know the host of that show. Let me arrange it. And Gatewood gave me a call and put Willie on the phone. And the next thing I know, I'm interviewing Willie Nelson on the Time for Hemp television series. And I was quite an honor, to say the least. It was the first time Willie had spoken publicly about the need to end hemp prohibition. And it had a big impact on the movement, I do believe, because Willie coming out publicly like that made it possible for other people to have the same courage to do so. Then in 2015, after Time for Hemp had grown into a global broadcasting network, Willie appeared on my show. I was at that time broadcasting on iHeartRadio, and so I was doing primarily audio programming. And Willie came on, and we had a nice chat as well. So what I've done is I've taken both interviews, and I've put them into this one presentation. I wanted to preface that so that you would understand that there are actually two interviews. So when it sounds like the first one's coming to an end, hang on. There'll be even more of my interviews with Willie Nelson here at Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. I don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Today we are very honored to have a special guest on our program. This gentleman has changed country music forever with his voice, with his style, and with his singing. He's also helped an awful lot of farmers across America with their plights and their heartaches. And he's also brought to the public a message of hemp legalization that is backing people in Kentucky, such as Gatewood Galbraith and their campaigns, to just conversations on a daily basis on how we should save our planet. Our special guest today is Willie Nelson. Willie, thank you very much for being a guest on our show.
Glad to be here.
Willie, you've had a chance to see firsthand the heartaches and the plights that our farmers are going through. And a lot of people in their offices and driving to and from their jobs in L.A. and New York and Chicago don't see the heartache that you've had a chance to witness. Could you share some of that?
Well, whenever I first started hearing about the farmers' problems, I was born in a farm community, in a farm town. A lot of my friends are farmers. So I started checking it out. I heard these horror stories about farmers getting foreclosed on and losing their farms, and bankers who were once friendly now unfriendly. And I heard all these things, and I said, well, something's going on that I'm not aware of. So I started checking it out. Millions of farmers all over this country had been losing their farms at the rate of 1 million a year.
Acreages,
well,
1 million farms?
Farmers. You know, at one time there was 8 million working farmers in this country, American family farmers. Now we're down to probably less than 2 million. The big corporations, it's the old story of the big ones eating the little ones. And they're running the small farmer off the land. And when that happens, the farm town closes down. The first thing, the hospitals and the schools go. And then what happens is all these people are now unemployed. They move on to the next big city, which causes the same kind of problems in that city. I think that all the homelessness, alcoholism, insanity, all these things that we experience, unemployment in our country, can be traced back to the first time that the first American farmer was forced off his land when he was unable to make a living off of 100 or 200 acres of land. And the reason for it is because they have asked him, demanded or made it necessary that he raise a crop below what it costs him to raise it. He loses money on, for instance, if he, just example figures, for instance, if he were to, it costs him $2 to, or $3 to plant and raise and harvest a bushel of corn, and if he only gets $2.50 for that at the market, then he's losing. Right. And this is an accepted practice in American agriculture today, for the farmer to get less than what it costs him to grow. And they keep trying to justify it with subsidies and whatever. But the American farmer would rather go out here and work hard and make his money the hard way, the way he knows how to do it. Give him an acre, let him do what that acre can do. Let him do it without all the pesticides, without all the chemicals. Don't put his yield so low, his money so low, that he has to use every piece or every gallon of pesticides that he can find to pour on that acre of land in order to get enough money out to almost break even. They have forced him into this position. There are even banks who will not loan you any money at all unless you agree to use X amount of pesticides and chemicals on your land.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Because they know that the only way you can make your payment is if you get so much off of that acre, and the only way you can get that much off of that acre is to keep pouring the chemicals to that 1 acre.
Wow. Now, when did you first become aware of hemp as a cash crop?
A couple of years ago, I read a book I think that a lot of us have read by now called The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and it was in that book there was a reprint of an article. The one thing in that book that I saw that could not be argued with was an article that came out in 1938 edition of Popular Mechanics magazine, February edition, if anybody wants to go check it out, that said a new $1 billion crop for the farmers.
Do you think that farmers today would be receptive to growing hemp as a cash crop? Because of all the propaganda we've heard over the years, there are so many people now who believe that it's the evil weed. But we kind of figured, because of all the products that it can create, that it could be a solution.
Well, definitely. I think most people that I talked to had no idea, just like me, that hemp and marijuana was the same thing. We were ignorant of that fact. Also, we were ignorant of the fact that hemp could be used as food. It can be used as clothing. The first Levi's in this country were made from hemp. The first Bibles were printed on hemp paper. The Declaration of Independence, the first 2 copies of this was printed on hemp paper. People don't know that.
Willie, now, that kind of like points to some of the things that we were talking about on the income that can be generated for the farms and saving the farms and so on. And we were talking about the difficulty of trying to reintroduce it to the economy. Where do you see hemp actually taking the farmers? If they were to start being allowed to grow it, do you think hemp in and of itself could be the crop that would save the farms for America?
In the state of Kentucky, when the leading agricultural crop there in 1937 was hemp, when they took that away from the farmers, it would be like taking wheat away from Kansas, cotton away from Texas, cattle, away from. it's just devastating what has happened to the farmers in that area since their leading agricultural crop, which, as we've all seen, is a very beneficial, and not only beneficial, necessary plant that the earth needs. If it wasn't supposed to be there, the big guy wouldn't put it there. You know, he didn't make no mistakes. So he put him here for a reason. One of the reasons, I believe, is that the root is like 10 to 12 inches long, which literally holds the planet together. Now, what happens when you eradicate a plant from the planet? If you check history, every civilization that has gone under since the beginning of time has gone under because of soil erosion and the inability of the people to be able to feed themselves. Now, is that a serious problem today? Look at Bangladesh.
Yeah, really.
Look at the places on the planet where hemp has been made illegal to grow. In the state of Iowa, that state in the last 100 years has lost over 50% of its topsoil.
Wow.
So we're talking about farming areas that are going down the drain because of some some very well-planned conspiracy to take the hemp plant off the planet to keep it from being competition to the other products that it would be competition to, your petrochemicals, your paper, all the textiles. Now, business is business, as they say, and anything is fair in love and war.
Yeah.
But when you start taking something that valuable away from the planet, you're affecting other things other than just business associates. You're affecting our children who eat, and you're affecting yourself and me. We're taking food away from, healthy food away from our families, and we're taking the healthy soil away from our planet.
What do you think it would take to get the farmers to rally around this plant and to unite across the United States and say, give us the right to grow this plant so that we can start utilizing it for industrial purposes?
Well, the biggest problem is knowledge, education. I think this is the first thing that has to be done. The American farmer has to be made aware that 50 years ago this was a legal crop, and why was it taken away? I think he has to start asking himself, why is this hidden from me? Let his curiosity start growing. Why did my grandfather plant hemp, and why can I not plant hemp? Now, I've heard all about the big scare of the marijuana thing, but most people who have lived any length of time at all and have been around anything at all on this planet knows that if we have any serious problems in the world, which we do, marijuana is not one of them.
No, not really.
Not one of them. When you start listing our serious problems, it's way down on the list somewhere. And it might be even one of our greatest assets that has been disguised to make appear to be a bad guy. So I think what the farmer should do, and not only the farmer, every taxpayer out there, everybody who's affected, everybody who eats food, should start wondering, why are we so kept in the dark over this one plant, the hemp plant?
Yeah. Do you get any slack or difficulty being a performer who advocates the legalization of hemp? Do you?
I get into a lot of things that I get flack for.
Yeah, I know.
So it's hard to say where my flack's coming from.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to express yourself at any one point in time to the American people and deliver the message of the farmer, what would you say?
Well, first of all, the fact that you're able to do this television show and I'm here talking on it and people are able to watch it on their television, it means that this idea has come. It's time for people to consider it and make a decision one way or another. And it's a question you have to ask yourself. Is it important? Is the planet worth saving? Can hemp really save the planet? If it can, why is it kept such a secret from us? Ask yourself these questions, call around, do some research, and make your own conclusions.
I tell you, we are facing a world that needs medicines, we are facing a world that needs food, and we are facing a world that's rather stubborn when it comes to dealing with the topic of drugs. They seem to overlook the fact that marijuana is a plant that can be grown for, as we've said, paper, fiber, and fuel. We have people overseas who are growing it for just that. Is there anything that we can learn from our brothers and sisters overseas, do you think, that would help reintroduce us into our economy?
Well, you must remember that our brothers and sisters overseas are controlled by the same people who control us here. Their planting habits. Hemp is illegal on many parts of the planet, and it's been made illegal by the same people who made it illegal here. The oil companies, the petrochemical people, who are the paper industries, the people who own trees on this planet, who would rather see us chop down the trees and make paper rather than use hemp, which could save all the trees. There's a lot of opposition here, so this is a war that we're just on the beginning stages of, and there will be opposition from a lot of people. There'll be a lot of people throwing a lot of accusations at you, at me, so you better be ready for it.
Willie, it has been a joy to have you on our program today. You know, to have the honor of you coming in here and speaking on behalf of the farmers. I mean, you have a voice of authority, you know, because you've seen it and you've been there. And we want to wish you all the luck in what you're doing. Is there any place that anybody can write or get in contact if they want to get and participate in farm aid, or if they want to find some way of helping the farmers in their states? Is there any organizations that you can think of that might benefit from?
There are many organizations. Farm Aid funds many different organizations, agricultural movements in all the states, all the areas, and it's very simple to find out who in your area represents the farmers, the Farmers Alliance or whatever. There's many organizations, and you can look in your phone book or ask your neighbor and find out who. Or you can also call 1-800-FARM-AID.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Again, I want to thank you all for tuning in to enjoy this program called Time for Hemp. We realize that sometimes we walk on the edge, but our purpose here is to educate. So the next time that you have the opportunity to sit down with a little time on your hands, pick up a piece of paper and pencil, write your congressperson, write your senators, write the president, write the vice president, get up off your fannies and get out that door and go actually do something physical to make this world a better place. I hope that you've had the opportunity to enjoy the benefits of hemp in your life in various fashions, and I hope that the next time you see me, you'll know that it's time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look now and take some time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leach. On my program today is a return of a good friend of mine. He was on the television series back in 1991. I think that was the first time he mentioned publicly his enjoyment of cannabis, hemp, and his belief in the paper, fiber, fuel, and medications. He'd read Jack Hare's book, and Gatewood Galbraith introduced Willie and I when Willie was campaigning for Gatewood. And they've been a lot of people in Kentucky who worked to make cannabis, hemp, a cash crop again. We'll talk about that later. But, a lot of things have changed since Willie's been on the show the first time. I'm not sure if he remembers that far back. I don't know. He might be buzzed. Are you, Willie?
I am. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing okay these days. I know the last time I spoke with you on the phone or so, you were dealing with carpal tunnel syndrome. You still dealing with that, or are you doing okay?
I'm pretty good. For a guy 81, I ain't doing that bad.
You got that right, Willie. I tell you, it's fun to watch you dance around on stage. You really are an inspiration. Over the years, you've made it a point to have fun along the way while you've worked. You've always said if you weren't having fun, you weren't doing it right. And I was wondering, I know you do a lot of concerts and you do a lot of surprise shows for people, and your calendar's pretty full. Are you still working hard, or are you still having fun? How's your path going these days?
It's been going incredible. We've had some really good crowds, and everybody's been Casey and Allison have just got great bands, and then we sing a couple of songs, and we do Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die, and everybody gets off on that pretty good. We've just been having a lot of fun.
Are you writing any new songs these days? I know in the past you would sometimes work with a friend of yours named Buddy Cannon, and other times you've worked with other songwriters. So anything new?
Well, it's not easy for me to write with another writer. Only one other time that I remember being able to write with another writer as well as I'm writing with Buddy was back with Hank Cochran many years ago. And we wrote some songs together. But Buddy and I seem to hit it off, and we've got kind of a little formula going where he'll write something, I'll write something, and we kind of got on a roll, and me and Buddy writing, and next thing you know, we got a whole album. We got some songs of mine and mine and Buddy's. We got some with Bill Anderson wrote a song in there called The Songwriters, which I think is really a good song. And Vince Gill wrote a song called Whenever You Come Around. That's one of my favorite songs. And we have The Wall, and we got a song that I wrote when I was having some health problems a couple of years ago, and had a bad shoulder, and I went all the way to Germany and got some blood work done over there, and so I just been having a problem or two every now and then, so I wrote the song I Hit the Wall. And I don't know, it's just something that I do, whenever I'm thinking about something. If I'm smart, I'll write it down. So it's been working.
I remember the first time you were on Time for Hemp, you had just finished reading Jack Harris' book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. I know on the show I asked you if you thought there would be any chance of calling out your friends or your other fellow performers, and at the time you were the only one really speaking out about cannabis prohibition. Do you think the environment has changed a lot? Is that why a lot of country western stars are now signing up?
I think so, and I think it has a lot to do with all the, Colorado and Washington and all the states that have legalized it, and that's a big deal. I probably was one of the most surprised. I didn't think that it would happen in my lifetime, but here it is.
Why do you think that is?
One word: money. There's a lot of money in selling marijuana, and if you can do it legally, that's good. And why should all the criminals make the money? And this is what people are thinking. If it's happening, if it's going to be legal, let's tax it, regulate it like we do everything else, and make some money off of it. So I think that's one reason people are beginning to look at it a little more seriously, because they can see the bottom line.
I agree, and I think people are looking at it more and more seriously. Like in Kentucky, they're able to grow more and more acreage year after year, and we can grow it now across the United States, and there are a handful of states that are focused on turning hemp into a cash crop. So I do believe that we as Americans are waking up coast to coast pretty rapidly.
Yeah, we are, and more people are finding out the benefits of it, and hemp and marijuana, and the more they delve into it and research it, the more they realize that, hey, wait a minute, we should give this another look.
The last time you invited me onto your bus, you were using vaporizers. In fact, you had 2 or 3 really nice ones, and I don't know how you're using pens now these days. Have you tried any of the dabs? That's the new rage, everybody's dabbing. Have you tried that?
No, I don't really like any of those things, but the vaporizers are good. Especially for a singer, it's good for your lungs, not to put any kind of smoke or anything in there. Cigarette smoke will kill you, and I've never heard anybody dying from marijuana smoke, but vaporizers are still, I think, smarter than a lot of smoke. Now, there's a few of those little pens going around. I'm sure you've seen them out in California, those e-pens and e-cigarette pens type things. Right. And, they're all right.
In your travels on the road, have you had a chance to enjoy any types of edibles?
Well, I don't think much of them. But I'm not a huge advocate of edibles, because I never, there are people who have find it beneficial, and there are kids who are benefiting from it medicinally, because there are people who, the Charlotte's Web folks, and they've found ways to use it where it's helpful. But as far as me personally, I just not do the edibles because it's a different type of high when you do the edibles, and I just don't like that.
Willie, I know a while back, I think you still have it. You have that biodiesel fuel company, don't you?
Yeah, Bio Willie.
And the Bio Willie fuel, is that going to go national? Is that going to be using hemp seeds and hemp oil to produce fuel now?
Well, it certainly could be, but there'd have to be some sort of legalization, in a lot of different places to make that possible. But right now, what we're doing is we're sending out trucks to a lot of the restaurants around and gathering up vegetable oil from the restaurants and taking it to our plants and turning it into biodiesel. And that's working very well.
I know that there was a time when you had like the Willie shirt and you had a variety of other products that you were involved with in the hemp movement. And when you would travel, you would be able to go into like the David Letterman show or the Tonight Show, but they never let you talk about the hemp industry or the hemp movement. Is that changing now, or are you still being censored?
No, they're more likely to talk about it now because, it is legal in a lot of places, and it does look like it's going to get, more acceptance around the country, and that's good. And people have found out more about it. They're not as afraid of it as they used to be. All those old horror stories they've heard, they found out weren't true. And so I think, the future looks pretty good.
What direction are you planning to move into the hemp movement? I mean, you're clever enough to realize this is a huge industry that's suddenly opening up in so many states. I can only imagine that you have plans for yourself to be involved in one way or another.
Yeah, I got a couple of plans that we're working on, and we'll see what develops.
I know that you're a busy person, and you said you only had a few minutes to spend with us today because you got a lot of places to be and a lot of people to meet. And I want to thank you for taking time for hemp. Is there anything in particular you'd like to share with our audience as you part?
Well, thanks for having me on the show, and also I'd like to, working with Allison and Union Station and Casey and all those great musicians and singers is really a lot of fun. We've had a good tour, and I look forward to touring with those folks again one day. Casey and I are planning on doing a song together, an old song of mine that I wrote called Are You Sure This Is Where You Want to Be? So we're going to get to do some recording together, and that's going to be cool.
Well, this has been a lot of fun talking with you, Willie, and it really has made this day very special. And one of the things that has made it special is being able to spend it with you, because today is my birthday, and I can't think of a better way.
Hey, Casper, happy birthday. How old are you? Don't tell me.
I'm 59 years old today, and I can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than with you.
All right. Ain't nothing to it, huh?
No. I tell you, I feel every year of it.
Well, let's sing Happy Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Casper. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, Willie, that rocks. Wow. Thank you, Willie.
All right, thank you.
Look at all that money. Yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Right